Hi, in today's episode, we have Nikitha Satish. Nikitha Satish, who along with Anvita Prashant in 2019 started the brand Kaiyaré. Kaiyaré, meaning handmade in Kannada, wears its heart on its sleeve quite literally. They have currently 20 women working out of Kabini in Karnataka who have made banana fiber products completely by hand. They were trained by the Kishkinda Trust in Anegundi, who are a pioneer in making banana fiber and water hyacinth products from over 20 years now. So from the process of making the rope to doing the crochet and finishing the product, every step is made by hand with no electricity or machinery. At Kaiyaré, products are made very consciously, conscious of the makers and the planet. They are believers, so all the products are natural azo-free dyes, which Nikitha will tell me about, which are not toxic. The entire clothing collection is hand-spun and hand-woven. Kaiyaré is constantly looking for artisans, institutions who are working and exploring textiles and craft in India. So welcome, Nikitha, on today's podcast and tell us the genesis of your journey.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. So I am a fashion designer. I have studied. I have a degree in fashion, and I worked for an ethnic brand right after college for 2 years. And even though I worked as a designer there, I wanted to do something a bit on my own. So I kind of took a break from that and really started doing research on what I want to do. I knew what kind of clothes, in sense of what style I wanted them to be. But what is it? I mean, I felt like there need to be a bigger purpose or a reasoning behind what I do other than just making pretty clothes.
So how did you come into this whole thing of knowing your style?
I think it mostly comes from, so I knew I wanted to be a fashion designer since I was like, I think 14. It's pretty funny because there used to be the show on I forget which channel, but it used to be a design competition which Abu Jani and Sandeep Khosla hosted. I think it was Lakme Fashion Competition or something like that. And when I used to watch it on TV, and when I saw it, I felt like, hey, this is interesting. I like the process when they show how the participants there are coming up with clothes and putting them together. And I felt like this is something I can do. And I think what kind of clothes I want to do came from kind of finding my own individual style.
Tell us about your individual style. That would be very interesting.
So I think, when I was growing up and in school, you're obviously wearing uniforms. There's no individuality, right? There's no way that you can add that when you're growing up. But just when you're coming out of school, then you start going to college, and you can wear whatever you want. Then you're suddenly like out there not knowing what is it that you like. And just, I think you go to any college now, you just see everyone just looks the same. It's the same kind of hair, it's the same kind of clothes. So we don't really, I think, want or at least nurture individuality in terms of what you're wearing. And even though I was still very much blending in the space at that time, blending in with other people, looking exactly like other people. But I felt like I needed to make my own, which is not too eccentric because that's not me, or not too plain Jane as well, like something in the middle space. And another thing that I wanted to include, and I always knew that if I do something, that'll be is accessibility and affordability, because I'm like, if I can't buy the things that I'm making, if it's not in that price range, or if my friends or people around me can't buy it, then I don't know whom I'm really making it for. So that was very important. So kind of, I think I'm still exploring what my individual fashion is in that sense. I think it's very evolving. It's moved from like just having like pretty clothes to having clothes that have a story. Like every piece that I want to pick up now has its own story, who's made them, or like what I bought it with, or something like that. So I think I'm still finding it. But yeah, it's always, I'm sometimes surprising myself I think that's a part of it.
But it must be such a challenge, Nikita, because when you say that, it has to be affordable, the kind of work that really goes into the products that you put out,
Yeah.
does it justify? Because, yes, it must be affordable, and that is the way forward,
Yeah.
because we cannot have something that's so niche that the volumes won't go up.
Yeah.
But anything that's volume again becomes very machine made, becomes lesser labor.
Yeah.
So how do you close in this gap?
So because I see what it takes to make it, right? And I also see what sells in the market. So I get both the perspectives. But I think as long as, so we as a company have made a decision to kind of be in a certain price bracket. And to do that, there is no way that we can compromise on paying the artisans. For us, that comes first. So fair wages, not daily wages, but fair wages, fair living wages for the artisans. But we kind of compromise on our margin a bit so that it's also sellable, because the artisans will be able to sustain them only if you're selling the products, right? And also be able to give them more work. And that happens only when you'll be able to sell a certain number every month. So we are thinking of it in a long term. So cutting down our margins, our profit margins a bit, helps us to be in that range. And I think for us, whenever we are kind of launching new products or doing the costing of it, we see what are the products that are available right now, but are in a very mass sense. Like, for example, if you're doing like a shirt, right? What is an average shirt in a high street brand? So it might be starting from 1,200 to 2,200. So does our shirt also fit in that bracket? Because we want to give people an alternative to fast fashion, which is already there, but at an almost similar price.
Which is fantastic. Fantastic, Nikita.
I think that's our...
Because that's been something that, I have always, my heart has bled about this, because I'm a huge lover of Indian arts and crafts and textiles. I mean, having been raised in a home where I don't think I even knew, but I wasn't even conscious about it, but there was always handmade. And I come from a time when my mother actually used to take a leftover bottle and make a doll for me out of that. Like stuff, cotton and with cloth. And then, with wool, she used to make the hair and the eyes and, leftover beads to make the jewelry.
Yeah.
And obviously, I used to really feel very bad, because there used to be a lot of girls around me who had these dolls that came from abroad.
Yeah.
And of course, they were richer than me. And my mother made these handmade dolls. And when you're young, I didn't kind of realize the impact it has on me today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So handmade things that go back to the artisan is very close to my heart too.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So there must have been an inspiration for you too.
I think so I saw a lot of art growing around. So my granny used to make crochet these tablecloths and things like that. And my aunt used to take embroidery classes to other students in the house. So when I used to
What kind of embroidery?
So it was just general embroidery classes
lovely.
in Mysore, back in Mysore. She used to take to other, so there used to be girls who used to come down to the house, every weekly once for 2-3 hours used to learn this. So I think there was like little influences that I can see connect now. But obviously, like, I had no idea like this was actually influencing what I'm going to do. But I think those were like the small influences of handmade things that kind of that was there. But I think I understood like the true essence of it, or I could only see the bigger picture when I actually went to meet the artisans for the first time when I started working. When I went to Amingarh, which is a small village about 400 kilometers from here in Bagalkot district. When I went to their houses, and because they all weave at home. So when I went and kind of spoke to them and and I was only 22. So when I went and saw and see how they're, working, and saw the amount of time, energy, and really soul that they're putting into it, I think that's when it really hit me that, you know what, this is it. Like, this is so important. How are other people not seeing this? And I think from then on,
it's the artist's eye.
Yeah. So I think from then on was when I felt like, no, this needs to be there. And especially I feel like the crafts in Karnataka, the artisans in Karnataka are not really as celebrated as, other artisans all over the country. And it's
Why
also
would you say
because
that?
I think it's because that we people living in Karnataka, artists, designers, makers, are not really using it as much. We're not using it to its potential. There have been so many which have just been wiped out already. Like so many crafts in Karnataka has been wiped out
Which are the
already.
ones?
There was this one on the way to Mysore. There's this one place called Kodiala where they used to weave and they used to make these saris for the Mysore Maharajas. So they used to make these fabrics for the royalty. And I mean, obviously, in the past few decades, uh, there's been no demand, and all of them have just moved on to power loom. And but now, thankfully, Registry of Saris have actually done one collection and kind of like revived it. But I had visited the place before, and when I heard about like everyone just moved to power loom and just doing generic stuff, and it's not there anymore, I was like, that's heartbreaking, you know. So I feel like there's even bidri. We are right now working with artisans to kind of figure out what kind of products we want to do with bidri, and we're going to be launching soon, hopefully. But
Bidri
what
is from Andhra Pradesh, right? The Bidri
no,
wear?
it's from Karnataka.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what kind of Bidri? I would
so
love to
it's
know
basically
this.
like an inlay work.
Yes, but that isn't
Yeah.
that from Andhra Pradesh?
No, there is a part in
Karnataka
yeah,
also.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And which
it's
part
actually
is this?
originated from
It
here.
originated in
Yes,
Karnataka.
yes.
My God, repeat that again.
Yeah.
Bidri wear.
Yeah.
I have loved Bidri wear all my life. It's the inlay work that they do on
Yes,
iron.
yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, but like what brought
I didn't know this.
Yeah, we've not seen innovation in that part, right? Like there are artisans who are working, but what are the new products that we've seen? Like it's not stayed relevant, right? We still see those products in maybe emporiums, but what beyond it? So I feel like it's our responsibility as people who have grown here, who have studied here, who've learned here, to kind of pick up these craft and work more with it and make it more relevant. So that's also been our whole story. So that's why even Kaiyaré, we wanted to have a Kannada word. We wanted it to be rooted here. Our monogram.
Did I get
is in
that right?
Kannada.
Kaiyaré?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we wanted our monogram to reflect that our logos are in English and Kannada. So as much as we can, we kind of want to ingrain that in our products because all our artisans from here, we want to work with more crafts from here. So I think I and Anvita have been very sure of that we want to push that out more. So yeah, I think.
How did you come upon banana fiber?
So actually, what happened was in Kabini, there is it's actually started with another material that we are still working on, which is lantana. So when Anvita started, actually Anvita had already like kind of started the training bit before I joined in. So she had started kind of working with these women. We got around 15 women to first come to us and kind of start training. We wanted to work with lantana, which is basically a huge weed that's wreaking havoc in Nagarhole and Bandipur forest. It's actually just it's not native to India, the plant. It was brought in from North America because like many years ago, because it was just a pretty flower, and now it's become rampant, and it's a weed that the Karnataka Forest Department is also trying to get rid of. So
it's called lantana.
Yeah. So we actually wanted to work with the sticks. When they cut off the weed, we wanted to work with the sticks and the wood of it to make products. So also we realized when we started that that's going to take a long time because not many people have done it. But we wanted to start working with the women, and we thought banana fiber would be a nice thing to start with. To kind of upskilling the women, because these women have never worked before. They usually just help around in the fields. So we started with that. So they started making banana fiber products. There's a lot of banana fields in Karnataka. We make a lot of it.
Banana is all across India.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And so the variety of banana that we need to make the bark that we can use is available around Kabini. So we thought we can start working with that. And that's how we came about, actually. And We use crochet to make these bags. So it's pretty easy to learn. And we thought it's a skill that they can also take it and do something on their own afterwards as well, the women. So we started with that. Now we're working with Lantana to kind of figure out what kind of products we want. So hopefully that will be out soon. We're training the women to kind of work with Lantana to make basketries, to make lights, to make extremely interesting home decor stuff. So yeah.
So it would be the architecture companies or the housing companies that
Definitely.
you would be looking at
Yes.
for the Lantana
For the
products.
Lantana, yeah.
Yeah.
There will be products available for
Okay.
like everyday homes as well that we'll be retailing online and in stores. But we also work very closely with architects and designers who want to make these really big pieces exclusively, and we made this huge carpet which is just like different stitches put together in like circles and join them. There's so much artistry that goes behind it, and it's a unique piece. It's a centerpiece. It's still so subdued because of the color and everything, but it took about 20 days for them to make, for 8 women to make them. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we love working with people who also see and want to include craft in their home, right? So yeah, we work very closely with different kind of artists, and I think that's what we want to continue to do. We want to be a space where other artists can come in, explore the material, work with us, create something which is kind of helping more than one craft. I think that's been something that we want to do as well.
So, Nikitha, you know what? Of course, there's a huge awareness right now. I think, post-COVID, people started recognizing, because a lot of designers have started talking about sustainability. I don't know how many of them really practice. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
But I think it's really the buzzword which really makes people try to be that little, they try and be a little conscious.
Definitely.
And, but do you think that the market in India is really ready to pay a premium price for the kind of course, your pricing is very different, but does it make you feel sad for the way sometimes people react, to the kind of hard work, because you're right there, watching, getting these things done, and you might meet people who want to negotiate with you on the price. And to me, it's very interesting that these very people will walk into a larger Louis Vuitton store, but they will never ever bargain there. But they will bargain with somebody who's sitting on the flea market, and is trying to sell something.
Yeah.
And just this itself pisses me off,
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? I mean, did you need the store for you to start putting out the stuff? Or did you go through this experience when you began initially? Because obviously you're a dreamer like me,
Yeah.
We believe in our own little way. We can change the lives of a few more people.
Yeah.
We can, with our work, touch a few more lives. And that's why we both are sitting opposite each other and talking, right?
Yeah.
So how challenged do you feel with this?
I think you just have to take it with a pinch of salt. I think, I've seen it very early on. So when I started, I mainly started online. I started retailing online. So there was very little interaction directly, but I used to do pop-ups every time I do a new collection so that I can get like direct feedback from people. So I've had people come in and, look at the clothes or look at the things and say, hey, I have a sari just like this. I can just get my tailor to make this dress for me. And who tell it to you right in front of you in a pop-up show where they have come to see. I think it's there. And I'm like,
but we all struggled with validity, don't we?
Definitely.
What we were talking about when we began, right? This whole creative journey.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know, because not everyone is a Sabyasachi.
Yeah. I think, of course, I mean, you feel bad, but you're like, it's fine. I'm like, I think I want to put my energy and focus on more for people who want to at least, or who are at least curious, to see what it is, to ask questions. I think that is where I want to put more of my focus on. And, but of course, there are still people who say, why is it so expensive? And, just because it's made from waste, they believe that it has to be cheap. And no one wants to know the effort it takes to convert that waste into something so beautiful. And the number of hours that they put in. Another thing that, happens very often is sometimes in Kabini, when people get to go and see the women who are making them, who are just, usually who are on vacation and who are, just passing by, who kind of get interested and want to see it. when they come and see the women making them, and sometimes they're like, okay, how much is it for? We want to buy it. And when we tell them the price, uh, they don't want to buy it because they feel like, because we're in a village, why do we have to pay this much to, kind of take something that's from here? They expect village prices, which I don't know what that is. So it's definitely
See,
there.
we're talking about the same mindset, right? The minute you put it into a store, it has the,
Exactly.
the whole premium sense about, and when you really go out there and you pick it up. So it's a mindset, right? That we are struggling all the time with.
Definitely. But I think it's going to be a long journey.
Yes, it will.
It's definitely a long journey.
Yeah.
And there will always be people who will still think like that. But I think just having a conversation sometimes helps. And that's why it's very important for us to kind of tell who our artisans are. So whether it's on social media, whether it's on even our tags, we kind of want to tell who are these women who are making these products, so that we kind of add that that accessibility for them to know, for at least people who have never thought of it, to just read a name on a tag, maybe will, kind of put that seed in their mind that, okay, they are, these are the people who've made these products. So I think that's our attempt to kind of talk about the artisans more, talk about where they come from, talk about the difficulties that they have, but also celebrate it really. So yeah, I think that's the way we kind of have dealt with it till now.
Tell me a little about Azo that you had, that you...
The Azo-free dyes that we use.
The Azo-free dyes,
So we mainly use natural dyes, but there are some textiles or sometimes some artisans who work with the chemical dyed fabrics. So we want to obviously not have a bad impact on the environment. So we kind of shift them to do Azo-free dyes, because the price between chemical and Azo-free dyes is not as big a gap as it is for natural dyed yarns. So because the weavers have to buy yarns on their own, it's a huge investment for them. And asking them to switch from chemical dye to natural dye is the price is a lot. So we kind of ask them to move to Azo-free dyes, so that for us, it's not toxic to the environment whether in the process of dyeing or whether in the process of washing when you buy it, and it's not too heavy on the artisans. So that is why we choose to use Azo-free dyes, but as much as possible we kind of want to do natural dyes. But sometimes we also can't get a certain color in natural dyes, right? You can't get bright colors, you can't get dark colors. So we kind of do that. So we want to kind of balance both, but and also, like you said, sustainability has been the buzzword, right? But what does it really mean? I think it means so many different things to so many people, and you can't take away the context of where you're talking sustainability about. When you talk about it in India, there's a social aspect to it, there's an economical aspect to it, there's a labor aspect to it, there's like environment aspect to it. So it's so huge that it's a spectrum, right? So I think for us, from the very beginning, we've always believed that you cannot be perfectly sustainable. There is no way to do that, because we live in a very we live in a space where everything is telling you to go against it. So it's a word that's been so overly used that even I am sometimes like, I don't know if I want to use that word anymore for my brand. But I think it is still important to have those conversations, and tell people what it is that you do. And I think it's a very imperfect system, and we've realized that we need to do our best. We need to keep evolving and try and do good for people and for the environment. So if it means that we're able to have 5 more artisans weaving this fabric for us, but without natural dye, but with Azo-free dye, so we're doing a little better for the environment, but also a little better for the peoples, then I think that's the choice that we make to do that.
Yeah, but your products are amazing and they're absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
I just love the clutch that I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning with the little stones in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
And I think, India is really gearing up to become a world-class producer of absolutely phenomenal stuff, because I think we're beginning to learn to use color
Yeah.
and not just make it like a completely kitschy folk kind of a thing, because that's where I don't know if all of us are able to carry it, because see, the market, to get the money and also to go back to the artisan, the international markets are a really great place,
Yes,
to go out there.
Yeah.
So I think we've just cracked the code and we're just in the process, and I don't know if I'll live that long to see this becoming a to become a like a regular, for people to say that a product made by hand is more expensive than something that's been made in a factory. That is just so mass produced.
Yeah, I think also like the world is kind of waking up to what we can do, because for so long India, there was this perception of this very colorful, very blingy, from the outside in, right? But I think now the designers are really changing the narrative of what.
But
India
Nikitha,
really
it saddens me somewhere, and I know this is probably a little controversial, that established designers, do not take up clusters in India to teach them.
Yeah.
And it saddens me, because, if tomorrow I were to become successful, I would want to pass this on to a few more people who will benefit after I'm gone.
Yeah.
And because what, I have traveled into the interiors of Bengal, and there is art that's produced there, that they've started doing it on their t-shirts, but the colors are so bright because they don't know, how to get it out, because you can't wear like an orange and a green and a pink and all of that all together. So I wish there were designers who would like really hold their hand and teach them the color aesthetics of the modern consumption world, So that, I just think that there's such a gap, and I wish somebody, and more, actually not somebody, there would be more designers who have already established themselves should go out there and adopt some of these clusters just for the sake of giving back.
Yes.
And I think then we can expect the world to change,
Definitely. And I think it's happening slowly.
Yes.
But I do see it happening, because I also teach as a visiting faculty. So when I see students kind of taking up these projects on their own and kind of want to work closely with the artisans, I feel like that's a positive thing to look at. I think it's slowly happening, but it's definitely a long way to go.
It's slowly, for sure. I'm really at the cusp where I meet so many amazing people because of my podcast, because of the kind of writing work that I do. And I'm only full of gratitude, because, it just opens up my eyes to say that, my God, I was sleeping for so long. And the world has changed today. For someone like you, you're young, you're like out there to and to go out there and adopt a place and, pick up something that you feel so strongly about Karnataka. And I did not even know that Bidri was part of Karnataka. I always believed that it is part of Andhra Pradesh, you know? And I love Bidri also. So I look forward to more designs, more things from you. And it's amazing. And thank you so much for being on this episode. And just before I end, I would say the philosophy of Kaiyaré is to celebrate all things made by hand. They believe that it's the process of making things by hand that breathes life into the products, and I couldn't have agreed more. No product looks alike, and every artisan has their own uniqueness they add to everything they make, and Nikitha wants to always celebrate that. Thank you so much, Nikitha.
Thank you so much. It was lovely being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services. Find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course, all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are Moody Mo Awaz Podcast, where Hatke is hot.